Hello and welcome to Kent Tonight Live on KMTV. I'm Megan Shaw and here are your top stories on Friday the 28th of November. Crunching the numbers, we break down what this week's budget means for you in Kent.
I think it's been an absolute horror show of a budget. I mean, I thought Halloween had been and gone, but here we are again.
Redrawing the map. Deadline passes for Kent's councils to submit local government proposals.
For us to get devolution powers, we've got to have local government structures which are fit for purpose.
K-pop or Kent pop? As Village of Linton stars in new Korean music video, we go on the hunt for the county's superfans.
So I feel like people just need to open up a bit more about it because it's in a different language, so people don't really understand it, don't really want to know it. But I feel like it's just happy.
But first, taxes, benefits and wage rises. It's been a bumper autumn budget announced this week, but what does it mean for you here in Kent? As the county's political and business movers and shakers continue to digest Wednesday's announcement, local democracy reporter Ollie Leader has been examining what the Chancellor's statement will do to the county's economic landscape.
I call the Chancellor of this shatter.
It was Labour's second budget and one destined to controversy after weeks of leaks and speculation.
As you can see, the world's media has descended on Westminster for a very important day in the country's finances. And while it may be cold outside Parliament, has the reception to this tax-raising budget been frosty back in Kent?
I think it's been an absolute horror show of a budget. I mean, I thought Halloween had been and gone, but here we are again. This budget was really designed to help the shirkers and not the workers. It's the kind of budget that if you're a worker, you're paying more and getting less.
If you look at any budget, it's about trying to strike a balance. I think Rachel Reeves has done a good job with that. You know, she's found additional headroom and capacity because of the OBR projections. I'm really clear that actually we've made good progress, but there's of course always more to do.
But what does any of that actually mean now the dust has settled? Are your taxes going up? And will your local services see improvements? First of all, minimum wage is going up, meaning if you're over the age of 21, you'll be earning just shy of £26,500 a year from April. The government hopes this will help slash youth unemployment, potentially plugging gaps in crucial council departments.
We had so many young people out of work, out of education for a long time. Being at work is good for your health as well. So increasing the minimum wage is absolutely welcome. We got so many jobs in social care sector. As a chair of APPG, I welcome that this can attract more people, take up the jobs in social care.
But there are fears businesses could be squeezed on staff costs. And that's despite cuts to business rates for 750,000 properties.
We seem to have this doom loop attitude in the UK to virtually tax the operation out of existence. Very high VAT rates, high labour rates, high excise rates, all kinds of regulation that doesn't exist in other markets. And now we've got a tourism tax coming in at the discretion of local mayors. And we're still reeling from the very high national insurance taxes, which particularly hit retail and hospitality this time last year.
So my converse to that is by giving people a wage increase, certainly minimum wage increase, they'll have more money to spend in the high streets because they are getting more money into their pockets. And what we're doing is rebalancing businesses and taxation around businesses. So small and medium-sized businesses like those cafes will get a benefit from this budget.
Then we have the big one. The two-child benefit cap has been scrapped, meaning that families on the poverty line with 3 or more children could receive additional support.
It's going to mean that 3,000 children in Gravesham are now going to be lifted out of poverty. I mean, that is just in one foul swoop, one signature, can do that. I mean, that's incredible, and this is why I came into politics, to do things like this.
But there are those that say this should have happened much sooner.
And I understand, everyone understands that the government were struggling financially, but, you know, all of the charities like Child Poverty Action Group have been telling us for a long time, and my local food bank, who I work with closely, have been saying it's the #1 driver of poverty. And, you know, we have to do our absolute best to get rid of it.
And all of that doesn't even touch on gambling taxes that could raise £1 billion, or the government extending the freeze on tax bans. That means as inflation and wages go up, more working people will end up being taxed at a higher rate. It's a bumper budget, but the winners and losers might not be quite as clear-cut as the government or the opposition makes out. Ollie Leader in Westminster.
And Ollie joins me now in the studio. So Ollie, anything you've not yet covered in that report you've got to tell us?
Well, the budget, as you know, Meg, is colossal. There's so much I had to leave out. And it does impact people here in Kent. For example, the new EV tax set for 2028 could mean that if you're driving an electric vehicle, you'll be charged 3 pence per mile. That's quite a lot of money if you're investing in those EV cars. A new tourism tax is a big one for places like Canterbury, for Folkestone, places where tourists come to the county. We could potentially see an impact on businesses if that's going to be detrimental. They could also help boost local services if implemented in the right way. There's a mansion tax on those £2 million properties. There's a raid on salary sacrifice pension contributions. The list goes on and on. Obviously, our Kent Politics team here at KMTV will be following all of this in the coming weeks and months, breaking down what it means for you. But yeah, pretty sizable here.
And not just national politics, I bet it's been a big day for local democracy as well.
Absolutely, because today is deadline day for local government reorganisation. They're sick of talking about it. I'm sick of talking about it. You're probably sick of me talking about it, because basically the government's getting all of Kent's councils to essentially abolish themselves and form bigger unitaries that bring all services under one roof to make services more efficient. That's their view, and councils have been submitting their proposals today for what they want. And we actually have been following this story quite closely. One of our reporters, George Walker, he's been out in Medway and Maidstone talking to the big political beasts at Kent County Council and Medway Council. They provide upper tier authority services in addition to the lower tier authority services at Medway. And this is what he's been hearing about from these big figures within Kent politics.
Recognise these? Well, by 2028, they won't exist. That's because local government reorganisation is coming to Kent, replacing the current hodgepodge of councils. It's part of a national devolution agenda, with the government funding proposals moving Kent to either 3 or 4 sets of unitary authorities, which deliver all services.
However, for Medway Council, that simply wasn't enough choice, and instead they've chosen to refund their own proposal for the boundaries of Kent. Option 4D, as it's called, is expected to cost £135.9 million to implement, and to take between 8 and 15 years to pay off for the new councils. And it's not just squiggly lines on a map. This proposal redraws the boundaries of Kent, from Folkestone and Hythe in the south to Dartford in the north. I spoke to council leader Vince Maple about why he thinks these changes need to be made.
What we need to remember is we're dealing with maps when it comes to the districts, boroughs and the unitary, in most cases from more than 50 years ago. The government's been really clear about its desire to have devolution, and for us to get devolution powers, we've got to have local government structures which are fit for purpose for that particular reason. Our model, 4D, is absolutely that.
Here in Maidstone, at Kent County Council, they've also funded their own reorganisation proposal. They're looking at what's called Option 1A, a single unitary council for the entirety of Kent, with 3 so-called area committees sitting underneath it for everyone in Kent. They say this will cost the council £99.4 million to implement and will pay it off in about 3 years' time.
I'm extremely worried by Reform-run KCC's proposal for one mega council for Kent, which will hoover up all the powers of 14 councils and make decision-making remote from people. But Reform, with no support from any of the other councils in Kent, have spent £100,000 to £200,000 of public money, building up a case for their one single mega council, which everyone expects to be rejected. I mean, even Reform do. There was that recorded meeting where the leader of the council called it putting a spoke in a wheel. It's not a serious proposal.
George Walker, KMTV.
And you can watch the rest of that Kent Tonight special on Monday after Invicta Sport at 7 p.m. Now, a man's been sentenced to life in prison at Maidstone Crown Court for murder and sexually assaulting his mother's friend. Ernestus Yuska pled guilty to murdering 39-year-old Nina Denisova in her sleep. Her body was found by emergency services at Yuska's home in Dartford shortly before 7 a.m. last August. Yeah, that's correct. Here's the moment police arrested him.
All right. What's going on, lad? Sorry? What do you mean you killed someone? Who have you killed, mate? A friend of your mum's. Where are they? In the house.
And coming up, a former motorcyclist from Tenterden has set up a foundation to teach young people about road safety after losing two of his friends in crashes just months apart. And we'll also have our very own Anila Mohammed joining us to talk about the Health Watchdog's findings on Medway Hospital. That's it for now. Find you after the break. Thank you. Hello and welcome back to Kent Tonight live on KMTV. Now, a former motorcyclist from Tenterden who lost 2 friends to crashes is aiming to teach young people about road safety. Charlie Green says he gave up riding bikes after his friends were killed in separate accidents just months apart last year. The 20-year-old has now set up a foundation called The Next Mile and has given presentations to students, and we spoke with him earlier.
So it all started in April 2024. I was involved in an accident with a group of my friends that actually cost one of their lives due to a young driver's mistake. I really struggled with that. It was obviously being a young lad. I was 18 years old when that happened. It's quite a lot to go through, and complete tragedy, unexpected, could never have seen it coming. And you never really realise how being a part of that or around that really affects you. It was after that things went a bit downhill with my mental health, and I found it quite a difficult thing to come to terms with and deal with correctly. And then it was 3 months after that I lost a close friend of mine from school, Archie Robson, in a sudden crash, and that really set me over the edge, both being motorbike accidents, being a biker myself. It did almost make me go to war with myself. The main thing is just trying to stop it from happening to other people. Doing talks in schools, events in schools, educating young people on the risks of riding a motorbike and driving a car. I very much don't just talk about bikes, talk about cars as well, because unfortunately young people are getting injured in car crashes all the time. So yeah, educating them on the fact that they're not invincible.
And 2 burglars were tracked down and arrested by police just minutes after stealing cars from a driveway in Swanley. Officers were called to reports of a break-in near Goldsill Road with jewellery, a wallet and car keys stolen. Police pursued one of the stolen cars along the M25, and after a high-speed chase into Essex, the driver was detained. Another car seen travelling in convoy was also pursued into Barking and led to the arrest of another man. A 3rd man handed himself into a police station the following day, and all have been sentenced. And safety concerns remain at one of Kent's busiest hospitals. The Care Quality Commission has re-rated the A&E department at Medway Maritime Hospital as requires improvement, citing ongoing issues with patient safety, dignity and care during busy periods. Joining me now is our reporter Naila Mohammed. So Naila, what exactly did the inspectors find this time?
So the original investigation was done in April, but the report has only just been published today. And it's about the Medway Maritime Hospital in Gillingham. And the report found that it did show progress since the last investigation done last year, but serious concerns do remain. I mean, some patients have been waiting long hours just to see a healthcare professional, some even waiting up to 40 hours, which is quite a long time to wait. Others were treated in temporary areas that don't protect their privacy or their dignity. And the report also highlighted significant challenges for staff working under intense pressure. I mean, departments are regularly understaffed, and some of these staff had even said they wouldn't want their own relatives to be treated in the conditions of the hospital. And the CQC, who did the investigation, they rated the emergency department as needs improvement in terms of its effectiveness, its care towards its patients, and also its response time.
That does sound worrying. So were there any areas in the hospital that seem to be doing well at all then?
Absolutely. While the overall tone has been quite negative, there have been some positive mentions in the report. So ambulance handover time were much more efficient and delays were kept minimal, sometimes 30 minutes or less. And the staff were very much praised for their dedication and strict commitment to following clinical guidelines to the T, particularly regarding conditions around sepsis.
And I understand that the hospital has, in fact, implemented some changes since this inspection.
That's correct, Megan. So they've hired more nurses and more doctors to deal with the rising amount of patients coming in. And they've also improved procedures to ensure that the patients do receive specialist assessments. Interim Chief Executive Jonathan Wade has said that they've also expanded the virtual ward services, which means that patients are more patients are able to be treated at home, which frees up hospital beds and reduces cluttering and overcrowding within the hospitals themselves.
Thank you very much, Naila. A clear picture of a hospital under pressure there. Thank you. And while many shoppers in Kent will be clicking away or queuing up to make the most of the Black Friday sale, Kent Fire and Rescue has urged people to make sure they buy safe electronics. They're warning cheap appliances, chargers and devices might not comply with quality standards. It comes after a spate of electrical fires at homes across the county, including 3 in Ashford in the past 4 days. And we spoke to Group Manager of the service, Joe Bathurst, earlier.
So the easiest rule is if it looks too good to be true, then it usually is. So when people are shopping, we advise them to only buy electrical gifts from reputable retailers and trusted brands and avoid really cheap or imitation chargers and accessories. These might be dangerous. We're telling people to safely use their electrical items by following the manufacturer's guidance and only charge them when you're keeping an eye on them, remembering to keep all your devices off soft furnishings. Like I said, thinking back to that laptop that caught fire while it was charging on the bed. If an electrical item starts smoking or burning, get everyone out and call 999. Do not move the device or use any water.
And now sport. Gillingham manager Gareth Ainsworth admits they're having to be patient with loan signing Johnny Smith. The winger has been restricted to just 3 starts this season since joining from Wigan Athletic, and he was an unused sub last weekend. Despite scoring against Newport back in September, an injuries kept him sidelined for several weeks, and fitness continues to hold him back. Ainsworth said the 28-year-old is definitely part of his plans going forward. 3 of Chatham Town Women's Cup heroes will be on international duty when the team return to home league action this Sunday. Goalkeeper Simone Elligan is among the trio to have flown out to play for their national sides as Chatham prepare to face Luton Town at the Bourville Stadium. She saved 2 penalties in the shootout win over Exeter City in last weekend's FA Cup second-round match. Elligan will be joining her Trinidad and Tobago teammates. Jasmine Auguste and Otisha Charles were also part of this side. August will be representing St. Lucia and Charles will feature for Guyana as their nations compete in CONCACAF Women's Championship qualifiers. Margate boxer Blake Binskin enjoyed a winning professional debut at the famous York Hall in London. Binskin triumphed 40-36 on points in the winner stays on bout against Brighton's Mark Butler. Managed by Peacock Promotions, the Wingham-based Binskin is trained at PEJ ABC Margate on Hatfield Road by coaches Mario Michael and Ian McDonald. Coach Michael said it was a very proud moment for the club who have watched the 23-year-old when he was a young boy. Binskin's next fight will be in February. And just before we sign off for the week, let's take a quick look at the weather. A partly cloudy night across West Kent, temperatures sitting around 9 degrees all around, looking a bit clearer towards the east of the county. Into the tomorrow AM, we've got rain all around, 10 degrees, 11 degrees roughly, and into the evening tomorrow, we clear up a bit on West Kent, but towards East Kent, rain continues. And your outlook, 7 on Sunday and weather warnings Monday on Tuesday. So bring an umbrella, though a little bit warm at 10 and 11 degrees. And finally, whether it's Demon Hunters, BTS or Blackpink, K-pop has become a global sensation, even reaching the Kent village of Linton. Boy band Rise filmed the music video for their latest single, Fame, in Linton Park House just outside Maidstone. So could Kent soon put the K in K-pop? Well, Finn McDermott's been finding out.
Kent has plenty of musical history. Ozzy Osbourne performing in Folkestone Oasis with an early gig in Royal Tunbridge Wells, but now a viral K-pop group has joined the band. Rise are a 6-member boy band group from South Korea and are one of the rising star groups of the K-pop genre with more than 4.5 million Instagram followers. And for their new single Fame, they filmed their music video at Linton Park near the village of Linton by Maidstone. And with K-pop's popularity growing globally, it's no surprise to stans, which basically means enthusiastic fans, here in the UK, that groups have started branching out. To get more of an idea of the reach of the genre, I spoke to our health expert, Dr. Julian Spinks, who's also an expert on K-pop.
They're a relatively new K-pop band. They've only been around for a couple of years, but they're starting to make a name for themselves, and they are in one of the big concerts with a number of bands in June. And I hope they come back to Kent and we become their second home. And also maybe it'll start to encourage people in Kent to take more interest in K-pop and other Asian pop genre.
Now, it's fair to say that K-pop has become a global sensation, with groups like Blackpink, Twice and Cat's Eye climbing the charts every day. And it's even crossed over into film, with K-pop Demon Hunters being a huge success. And now that we can say that K-pop has officially arrived here at Linton Park and in Kent, does this mean Kent will become a new hub for the genre, or is it too soon to expect everyone to be a stan? As I stood there, I considered that if Kent would become the European centre of K-pop, we should get a head start and make our own Kent pop group. So I took to Maidstone's High Street to find some rising stars that might rival Rise. But it didn't get off to a great start. Can you name any bands?
The Smiths.
No, as in K-pop bands.
No,
Do you guys know any K-pop artists?
No.
Don't know. That's okay. That's okay. Can you guys sing?
No.
Okay. Can you dance?
Yeah.
You can dance. Okay, brilliant. And can you speak any Korean?
No.
Can you guys sing?
Yeah.
She can, yeah.
You can sing. Okay, perfect. What about dancing? How are we there?
Yeah, I'm good at
dancer as well.
So, do you think that K-pop could become bigger in England and Kent?
Yeah, I think it already is pretty big because, like, I know K-pop Demon Hunters, the Netflix show, their music hit like top charts even in the UK. So I feel like people just need to open up a bit more about it because it's in a different language, so people don't really